That's annoying.
We're live on Twitter.
Well, we probably are, but that's a restream beta of a studio working out of a web page. What does it look like on YouTube? Is it a bit meh?
It's okay.
Oh, we're back. There we go. In stream. I don't see anyone there.
Nope.
Oh no, we've got 5 concurrent viewers. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hello, Phil. Thank you, Phil. Thank you. Yeah, we're live and we're back. And no fanfare, no particular intro. We are going to have a crack at playing this out of a web browser. This is our experiment, people, of using Restream Live Studio to bring you the 365 Message Center show. No OBS today. Seeing if we can get away with a lower powered machine, so to speak. So the title for this awesome episode is all about virtual breakout rooms, and we've seen them coming. We're going to hear a bit more about them in the show. Let's play this intro and see how the web studio goes. I reckon we could recreate that, Daniel, and not bother playing the video. In fact, we could do it quite accurately like this. Oh, wait. Hang on. And
oh, wait.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that part needs work.
It does.
We'll downgrade that to 720p. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Good now. This is the 365 Message Center show where we help you plan for change, prevent or fix, and stay informed. And I still remember about a year ago I had trouble saying that.
You definitely did. You had some trouble getting those words out and in the correct order. So I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Proud of you. Hey, I'm proud of you too, man. There's something different about this room and this ambiance.
What are you talking about?
Where are you right now? Are you like...
So if you follow me, I may have said something on Twitter. I don't really remember. But I did switch. I'm building out my studio. Okay, It's just really I switched rooms for offices. And this is my new area. Now, you will see my background as a little maybe plain. It's not really. There's a lot going on there. I'm using a virtual background. Not really.
It's so realistic.
It is realistic, isn't it? But this is a wall back here. So it is I'm working on things. I just moved in to put in a desk and get up and running. So it's not there yet, but it's enough to do the show and enough to get going.
That's awesome. So, well, yeah. It's good to see, and I can see from photos as well on the weekend that things are progressing. So that should be a great place to work.
They are. There's a really good blue wall over there. Apparently, people like I painted. So
yeah, feature wall. Nice one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the show, and it might be a little rough today as I click around and change scenes in a web browser rather than the familiar OBS, but we'll do our best. Starting with this view of the messages in the message center. We won't have them hovering between us, but they are visible. And our first message of the show, all about announcing sharing links. I love it when they start these messages with announcing sharing links that block video file downloads. Daniel, this message, it's MC224174, and to me it feels like it's a continuation of our move from Stream to OneDrive and SharePoint for recorded videos. As you can see, it's about being able to block a new type of file. We could do it with PDF, with Office documents. Now we can block the download of video files when we share it with a link. And seems to be it's important to do that if you're sharing that with an external contact. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. And I like this because when you share content, especially when you're sharing content externally, being able to control how that experience works for the people that are getting the content is a very important piece of this whole situation. And so I'm liking this because I can say, hey, here's the video, but you can't download it. I just want you to consume it to see what's going on, but not be able to download it. I want to share a message with you, right, via video.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't want you to, I don't want you to take it and do something with it, right? And it's the same kind of concept when we're talking about when we're sharing Office documents or any other type of document, and we don't want people to download it or to be able to edit it and stuff like that. Having control still. So yeah.
So if you do get a link like this shared with you, it's because we do want to share the video with you. We want you to be able to see a copy of the recording, but sometimes there's content in there which we don't want you to necessarily download and share. So that gives us full control of that. And because it's sitting in SharePoint and OneDrive, it's going to have all the usual protections that'll be around a file within SharePoint. So this is rolling out this feature, targeted release in late October, so soonish. Standard release early November, complete for everyone by end of November. Is there anything more to say and show about this? Just to say that they've got a little screenshot there of the the preview of the link settings. So it's very familiar to us as we go through and share something. We can allow people to edit or not. Well, of course, you can't edit a video, but you can block that download and switch that across. Administrators, they can hide that link. So if, let's say, control whether the block download setting appears for only Office files. I don't know, I guess there might be a reason you want to do that. But yeah, learn more. You might want to notify your viewers, or rather users of this feature as you share this file. So it's all going to be part of that complete messaging, which last I checked, and I think I saw it in the community there too, there was a delay on the rollout of being able to enable the preview of saving your videos from Stream, or rather from Microsoft Teams to SharePoint and OneDrive. Have you seen the same thing, Daniel? There is a delay. I think it was sometime November now.
Right. Yes. And just as Phil in the chat room was saying, it is, everything seems to be end of November. Not everything. And we're going to cover, we're going to cover a lot of, actually not a lot, but several updates today that are actually done and you could be utilizing right now. So, but he's right. There's a lot of them. It seems like others that are showing up in the message center that say end of November, mid-October to end of November.
Yeah, so there we go. I'm not going to try with fancy segues today, mate, because I'm trying to get used to this studio and panel. But tell us about this thing in Outlook.
Yes, this thing in Outlook is called Outlook on the Web Project Moca Preview. This is MC22427. And we've talked about this before, I think a little bit, but this is a public preview, meaning it is something that it's past the kind of the beta phase, as you might say, but it is to the point where they're willing to let everybody use it, but with the knowledge that it is in preview still. So this is, you can enable for your users, and when you do, they will be able to get to Project Moca via the ellipses, the 3 dots at the bottom of Outlook Online. So if you go to Outlook on the web and click that, normally you see to do, a tab there, but you now can see Project Moca. It shows you, shows you right there in the message. And you click that and it'll open up. It is off by default. So this is something you have to enable for your users to even see it. And you have to enable it via PowerShell. There's no other way to do it. So you have to enable this. And this is one of the messages are one of the, I guess, features that we've seen roll out this way, that it's off by default. You have to enable it. It has to be done by PowerShell. Of course, there will be, I'm assuming there will be a switch in the admin center down the road at some point through the UI, but right now you have to do it that way. So this is basically now, it's in public preview right now. You can enable it for your users. The caveat is when you do, don't expect for it to show up for users immediately. It could take a day or two. And they even say it right there in the message. It could take up to 2 days, up to 48 hours for this to actually work for your users once it's enabled. So go out and check it out. It was already rolled out to EDU, to education tenants earlier, but now we all can use it. And it's got the functionality of Project Mocha is to kind of have a workspace, right, Darrell, of your task, of your documents and stuff like that, all in one pane.
Yeah. I mean, it feels almost like a Pinterest or a Delve kind of look and feel of you've got cards and you can drop various things in there. Remember Outlook today on the desktop, where you could go to that one view where here's your calendar, here's your tasks, here's your something. This is more than that, of course, but it feels like that kind of layout. And, expect, I guess, to see more things appear in there. This is a good start, but maybe there are other things that we'll see come in there too, to give you a personal view of what's going on. And, if we compare that to the personal view of your tasks or personal view of other things within Teams, like files, this is like the Outlook equivalent of what we're seeing being built into Teams. Joanne actually quite likes the name. I love the name for what it's worth. So yes, I guess we have some coffee fans and our followers and our friends.
Yes,
I know Joanne's got a great machine, isn't she?
Yeah, and you know what we should do? Yes, she does make some great coffee, and which turns out to be great pictures for her caffeine addiction. Yeah. But what we really should do is we should really all get on Teams and then create breakout rooms for the different types of coffee that we like, mochas and lattes and Irish whiskey.
That might actually work. That might actually work for those who want to show a bit of skill. I think Joanne's been working on latte art. I'm rubbish at that, but I can roast beans. What you're referring to, Daniel, is this funky thing that we've been waiting for a while. And it's interesting that that last update we talked about, Project Mocha had come to the education space first, and the virtual breakout rooms are or have been developed for education first as well, but they are, of course, becoming available to other tenants as well. So that's MC224343, and it's a big deal. I think that when I saw this along with the together mode and the dynamic view, I thought that this was going to have more effect in helping people feel more connected in a meeting than having this big grandstand view of everyone with their bobblehead kind of look. And the reason I feel this is because of the limitations that we have with audio technology within an online meeting. As soon as we get above a certain number, it becomes impossible to have a dynamic flowing discussion because only one audio or one person really can be heard, and that's why we mute things, right? I wouldn't ask you to share those details, but what have you been in meetings recently where people do forget to put themselves on mute or
yes, and I've also been in meetings where the topic needed to branch out. It needed to have branches because there were people who were really focused on the architecting aspects of how to do the solution, but then there were other people who were really focused in the details and nitty gritty, and it was like we can't keep having these conversations. They were battling for time, to have that conversation. And so a breakout room is very appropriate for this. You have breakout rooms, have your architecting people who are high level, who want to talk about how to do this from that kind of scale. And then people who are nitty gritty down to details of, what the subject should be on the announcement email. And then breakout, do your work, and then come back and share with each other how all that went. I think breakout rooms is something that people have been really looking forward to in teams. They, have experienced it maybe in other platforms. I think Teams is going to do a great job at this. We've seen some information, a few weeks back about how they're planning on doing it, and I think they're doing actually a really good job with it. And all those, if kind of the top 10 list of every of those aspects that you think, I want these things, should have it's going to have them all. So I think they're doing a great job with that, and this can also play into various other types, training, events for like community events, stuff. So it's got a lot of applications, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Apart from making it possible for more people to interact within the meeting, the ability to sort of split out and be able to come up with other thoughts and ideas, it's become so important to try and fast track this capability while we all, more of us are working from home or, opting for that for various reasons. There's some really interesting detail in this too. It is a message where there is more information than usual. I quite like how it goes into saying, administrators, you do need to have these various things turned on the policy, make sure that people can schedule private meetings and have a meet now in the private space. And I'll just clarify that. That's when you go to your calendar within Teams, and then you hit the meet now button. So those first two are all about having that in a meeting in a private space. I sometimes call it a standalone meeting versus the second one, which is about channel meetings. And that is coming, but breakout rooms aren't going to be available there on day one in channel meetings or channel meet now experiences. And I think, that's okay. We schedule the meeting ahead of time, but there will be some benefits eventually to having breakout rooms within a channel. And I'm hoping that will also mean the meeting assets. We saw things within the Ignite announcement that a whiteboard, documents that are shared, conversations, things that occur in terms of activities will still be there available to come back and interact with for a second and a third time. And at the end of the meeting to go in and grab the results of those breakouts. But can you imagine, Daniel, having those already sitting within a channel or within a private channel or a thread or something, and you don't have to go and collect them?
Yes, I do. And I think there's some possibilities here for how this could go to that next level. And I think Teams is going to be set up to be able to just really take this to the next level. So, this first release of the breakout rooms is going to be, I think, going to be great. It's going to suffice. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean like an MVP, minimal viable product. I actually think it's going to be pretty good. But then I think because of other functionality in Teams, I think we are going to be able to really see this feature-wise explode and be able to take advantage of all those integrations that we have as well. So, yeah.
Well, expect to see a few deep dives from various creators in the community, probably even actually Stephen Collier, he's pretty sure that they will be available in channels at release. He might be a bit closer to the detail than I just saw a few things early on about those capabilities. But yeah, we'll leave that for some of the deep dives. I might do something in there too. I've been sort of playing through a few scenarios about what to do and how to prepare. But we should really move on to that next message, which is around SharePoint and custom content types.
Yeah, so this is modern capability to add custom content types in SharePoint, MC224244. And anyone that's been in SharePoint that has done anything other than, really just upload documents or work with a list, you've probably at least been exposed to this idea of content types. And it's really, and the first exposure most people get is when they go to new item. They might, they say new and it says Word document, or it says marketing template or whatever. Those are content types. Okay. And it gives us capability of having custom content type, being able to group these content types together, doing some other things. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but what this is, we still have the capabilities content type. So this message isn't about, oh, we finally get content. No, we have content types. But what this is the ability to get a content type without having to go in the settings of the library or list. When we go to create new, there's one of the options is going to be content type. And we're going to be able to add these content types that have been made available to us. So the timing on this is rolling out mid-October. This is going to sound familiar. Mid-October to late November. For everybody that was paying attention earlier in this episode. That's for targeted release. For standard release, looking at starting in December and completing by the end of January. So kind of a bigger rollout. So that's really all it is adding it, kind of a shortcut to getting to creating content types without having to go into the settings. You'll see there's some screenshots there of where it's going to show in the menu, and then an image showing you how it's going to look when you go to select a content type and be able to add it. So you'll be able to select add a view to the list or library. And all of that. So being able to add that straight away without having to go in settings is nice. Again, not really new functionality right now. As far as I can see, it's just making it easier for our users. So, and yep. So I think one thing I will say, it's great to see that, the pretty good content here, some screenshots. There is no learn more resources here. You may want to update your training. Yep, I agree, because again, this is a UI change where another item is going to be in the list to select for your users. So at least having this as a call out of this is coming and it's going to be available.
And you're saying like this new item that's going to be available to choose. If we go back to this screenshot here, do you mean when you're creating a column, or when you go to the new button, you'll be able to, instead of say, I want to create a new Word document, I want to create a new content type? Is that literally how it will be?
No, this is, and you can actually see it in the other image, right?
This one, yeah.
Showing you, that's the one before. But okay. It's actually adding the column. I think you had it up. Yep. So if you go to add a column, it's going to say, instead of just adding a single column, it's going to be adding a content type. But see, remember, modern SharePoint makes it really easy to add a column. You can add a column if you have permissions to do so on the view itself straight away. You don't have to go into settings. You don't have to do anything. You do it right on the page. So that's what this is showing. I go to add a column, and people are starting to use this a lot more. And it is I think it's going to make it really easy. If your users are not adapted well to content types, knowing how to use them, knowing what they are, then there's probably some education that's going to need to happen here. There is no turning this off. It's going to happen. We may not like it, but it will happen. And so we need to make sure that we educate people on what that means when they click on content type. I see there are some comments about this. Do we like this feature? It could cause some confusion. Again, if your users really don't know what a content type is. And they're going to say, add a column. Oh, what is this thing at the bottom? So, when they start, clicking on that, going into selection and, oh, look at all this. This is exactly what I want. And it's not really, right? Look, this new content type has a new title and has
That's what I'm struggling with.
Thing.
Like, if I go to add a column and I'm choosing from choice or multi or whatever, or personal, there's all those usual things. I'm in column choosing mode. Then at the bottom of that, I could choose content type. It's not going to add this new column and do something, is it? It's just...
Well, it's going to add new columns to your list or library. Absolutely. Yeah. When you're adding a content type. And then you saw on that screen, it's, do you want to add it to the view? So what this is really tackling is users who are building out lists and libraries. I don't think this is not really targeted, I don't believe, to existing libraries and lists that they go in and they just need to add a little bit of a touch. They need to add another description or a
data.
Build way it works, then I definitely, this is going to be useful. But again, users need to know that, right? So if they're just going in to add a single line of text and they go, oh, okay, wait, what is this thing? I'm going to click it. And then they add this content type because it has a single line of text in it. But now they have also added 4 other columns to this list. But it's only if you select that content type, right? For when you're creating content. If you don't select that content type, then you get the other columns. Remember, this is a content type. This is not, anyway, it's different than just adding a column.
I think I'm going to take Sarah's course there of content types for 10-year-olds.
Yes.
Am I reading that right? Or is it this is a 10-year-old session for content types?
Maybe it is for 10-year-olds, but it is hers that she's given a while back. But it's when you're working with a library list, what you're looking at, if it's straight out of the box, you haven't done any additional content types, is a content type. It's just the default content type for that, right?
Yep.
And so when you add a column, you're adding a column to a content type. But if you go and click add column and then select content type, you're not adding a column to this existing content type. You're creating a whole other content type.
Right.
So, yes, you should probably go watch Sarah's session. Maybe she should, like she said, dust that off and go put it up on YouTube. But
I think
this
so.
is going to necessitate a fresh look at content types and you're with users, because before it was just too hard, right? Not too hard, but it's behind the scenes. It's on the settings page. You have to scroll down. And in fact, you actually have to enable it, to be able to manage content. I mean, so now though, our users are just going to go click. Oh, there's a content, click, done, right? So will that mess up libraries and lists? Maybe.
Yeah, well, we'll know more once we get our hands on it, won't we?
Yes, we will. And I think, when people start chatting about it, we probably need to moderate that. I think making sure that we steer. Okay, sorry. That was my attempt at
good. That was good. It works. It works. Meeting chat moderation settings. Today we're moderating the chat within YouTube and figuring out what we can put on screen. There are some things that are coming, and we've seen this in messages recently, around controlling what attendees can do within a meeting. You can prevent them from going off mute. And we had some fun with that, just explaining that. And actually, as I dug into it a bit deeper, testing it out, setting up a meeting so that people can come off mute or not. They've got to raise their hand, and there's this whole procedure. I remember you explaining it, and I just had to try it out for myself. This is another thing within that group of tools, allowing people so meeting chat moderations, managing whether participants have the ability to chat prior to, during, and after the meeting. And I find this one interesting because to me, that's one of the strengths of Teams. And I'm trying to help people discover this behavior of you send out a meeting invite, you attach a link to the meeting minutes or whatever. But when you do that within email, there'll be some discussion on a conversation thread. Oh, do you want me to bring this along? Do you want me to prepare for this? Do you want me to do that? So that happens in email. And I'm trying to encourage the behavior within Teams to do the same. you will find that meeting in your calendar. You can engage in chat before the meeting, of course, during the meeting, and after, when you need to talk about who the action points and various things and doing wrap-ups. But this feature is all about turning off the ability to chat prior to and after the meeting, and only allowing chat within the meeting. MC224359. Let's have a look at our screenshot there. Open in our new tab and have a quick look-see. We have more meeting options. So we've seen recently things like allow attendees to unmute. Our new one today is about allowing meeting chat only during the meeting. What do you think of this, Daniel? Is this going to work? Like, I don't know. Might want people to chat during the meeting, but
yeah, I can definitely see use cases, and one was called out by Stephen in the chat about in education. Right. Because it's kind of crazy in chat sometimes. Well, it's that way. It's that way in the corporate world as well. So the issue is chat can get crazy. It can also not be relative. It cannot be important. It cannot be, and so only allowing chat during the meeting. Okay, great. However, I think if your users have gotten used to the concept of when we chat about something in the meeting, it's going to show up in, later. I just feel like we need to make sure people understand that that's changed, right? That's changing, or for this meeting. I don't know how we communicate that. I don't know if it's a way of, saying, having a little call out of this chat won't be saved, or I don't know.
So our three choices, and I'm picking up on something new that I hadn't read into it yet. On by default allows chat all the time, before, during, after. Off will make meeting chat read only, and no one can send messages in the chat, including the organizer. Okay. During the meeting only, participants can send messages during the meeting only, and organizers can send messages all the time.
Right.
So you're saying the chat won't be available after the meeting. Does it mean, my impression is you can still go there and see what conversations were held.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sorry that I said that wrong, but it is most certainly the functionality, though, of the chat will be different. Right.
Yeah.
And it could be not just one way or the other. This is three different ways that it could happen. That we could chat all the time, or that we can, there's no chat in the meeting whatsoever. And so no one can do it. And so it's all on audio and video, right? You're having that conversation. So stay out of chat. But I feel like we have certain situations where you join meetings where that's already the case, where you can't chat and chat's not available. And so what do you do when that happens? You get out of the meeting and you try to come back into the, right? And it's this whole tenant thing. Are you joining with someone else's tenant, or are you doing it on yours, and all this kind of thing? So it can be kind of crazy. And so I think we need to have some sort of warning to say, this is chat's disabled. And maybe we will, but I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that we need to have some sort of alert to say it's disabled. Don't run away. Please don't run away. We don't want you chat.
Housekeeping today. You can't chat. We've also force muted you. If you have anything of value to say, raise your hand, and we'll check to see your name and whether you're usually a troublemaker or not, and we'll allow you to come off mute. There are going to be a lot of options, but like one of the ones that Stan mentioned was about EDU and having more control of that. I think in combination with some of these other things that we have to control a meeting, and with the meeting size changing, it's going to be allowing larger numbers of attendees. It's important to still have this alternative, this original experience of an online webinar where you can have real-time engagement with your audience. But yeah, for another point there, I think with, here we go, here's part of what Phil had said, but the full chat's there in YouTube if you want to check it out and have a look later, that sometimes chats do get really fast and furious, and if you're trying to use the chat as a Q&A tool, and you're trying to find, well, where's the questions? Those of us that have attended Microsoft Q&As and like product bits and pieces, they're always struggling to go back through the chat because there's a whole bunch of smarties that have got some opinions to say and jokes and stuff. And where's the questions? Well, we need a Q&A feature in meetings, don't we? Not just in live events.
I agree with you. And I think, again, this is one of those where I think this is going to have to just be managed well, and if you've set it to, oh, you can't chat during the meeting, but now I really would like to have people's opinions. So maybe we need to throw a poll up, right? Or do something else. So it's just another wrinkle, and meetings are getting more complicated. Right. They used to be, we all dialed in to a number, the 6-digit code, and hit the pound, the hashtag after we hit in the number. Now we have to set up the meeting correctly. Who can come in before we start? Who can present? Who can chat? Who can talk? Unmute them. So we got all these settings, and I think these different scenarios.
You know what this is like, man? I think about all of those flash meeting rooms with all the equipment, and there's still a number of people that don't use the meeting room often enough to get familiar with how to use it. Yeah. And they've got this meeting, and they've got to go and, oh no, someone's already in there. And so they're going overtime, and so you're rushing in to prepare and join the call and all that sort of stuff. And you're, I don't know how to use this equipment. Freak out. Now we're creating that same experience in the online space where we've got all these choices, and if you don't know what you're doing, if you haven't done your preparation beforehand, you're going to have trouble. Anyway, I don't know if I mentioned its timing is mid-November. Expect to see that complete end of November as it rolls out. It's a control for the meeting organizer. Finishing off with transferring teams, meeting somethings. That's not even a segue. That's just you can finish the sentence off.
Thank you. This is transfer teams meeting between devices, or add another device, MC224238. And this is already available because I've already seen it, and I've seen it several times, to where I have joined a meeting on my phone, and then I go to my desktop and I log in and I look at Teams, and Teams is saying, hey, you're already on a meeting. Do you want to join from this device? Or do you want to switch? And that's cool. I mean, I think it's fantastic. The thing about this we need to keep an eye on is that kind of that bit about, do you want to join or do you want to switch? And you got to be careful, because I think for me, I almost clicked, yeah, let's do it. And then I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm on the meeting. I don't want to interrupt. Maybe it doesn't work. And then I drop and I got to join. And, but anyway, so just be mindful that when you see that, don't get click happy, actually read and what you want to do. But this is, again, rolling out and should be done. It should be in every tenant, and will be in government GCC at the end of October. So in a couple of weeks, they should have it as well. So when you open Teams, whether you can do it from your mobile or from your desktop app on a second device, you'll get a banner saying, this is already in progress. Do you want to join with this device? And if you're on your phone, you can click join, and it'll switch the audio to your device, to your phone. Or you can just transfer to this device, meaning I want to move my call. I want to get out of the call on one device and move it to another. It's, I think, great for those that are, working on the go, or you're in another room and you join a call and you go into your desk to continue that conversation, or vice versa. You're working during a meeting and you're like, oh, I got to go start walking to my car. Well, you can pull out your phone, join that same meeting, and and no one knows that you just ran away, and you just keep get on the meeting and you go and get in your car and end your call and then be on your way. So I feel like this is a way to handle your meetings. I think one thing that's not fantastic at all about this message is how you prepare for this. A very short one sentence answer of what you need to do to prepare is you might want to update your end user documentation, maybe, possibly, apparently. You most certainly, I think, need to tell your users about this, whether it's a blurb in your monthly newsletter, it's updating your documentation, do your lunch and learn, whatever it is. Yes, most certainly you should let your users know about it because it's a very useful feature. But again, it also may throw them off, right? If I'm on a call, on a meeting on my mobile, and I go to my desktop and I log in and I get click happy and I don't understand what I'm doing, I may actually end the meeting on my phone, join it on my desktop, okay? Not knowing I did that somehow. Maybe I logged in and clicked and then walked away, and then I'm off the phone now. I'm like, what the? And I, maybe I get a little, my meeting just went away. Yeah, I'm still on the meeting, just a different device. I don't know. That was just a hypothetical situation, but you might want to.
Well, I think it is going to come up often with that scenario where you are on the call and you're wanting to multitask and check something out in Teams, and that's when you're going to see it. But yeah, good, useful stuff, just not a great preparation message. And my saying these days is, no, I'm not going to update my documentation. You are my documentation, Microsoft, because I use learning pathways.
Right.
Actually, side comment there, new content's not going to appear there on its own. You do have to add it to learning pathways. Case in point, walkie-talkie. Well, that was, how did this work, people in the chat? Like, I know you're about 30 seconds behind us, but what did you think of using Restream? Did it work?
There were some comments about my video being kind of choppy at points.
Occasional bits and pieces, and I can see there's like a signal strength thing there too. Sometimes it dips a bit. Yeah, maybe it's the new Office. Maybe you need a few more things in there to, help with your presence. I don't know.
Is that right?
That's it. Yeah, you've got to work on that. Well, that's it for the week. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll catch you again next week. Let's see if we can play this outro so we can use it for our little icon thingos at the end of our YouTube video.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.